Hey guys, welcome to What the F. I can say I have the cutest guest I have ever had on the show today. Before we dive in though, I want to thank SK Life Science and Neurelis for making conversations like this possible. My guest today is Matt Bonfiglio. He is a successful marketing partner marketing. He'll explain later. I don't know. Also an epilepsy advocate, and he is here with his adorable service dog, Bella.
Oh.
Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bella, come here.
Yeah, let's get a shot of Bella. Oh, so if you're like tuning in, on audio only, oh my God.
There you go.
You want to switch to YouTube right now because Bella is adorable.
You want to go there?
Oh, she's like, no, I just want to be with you, Dad.
Go lay down.
And I see, yes, I did bring treats. There you go. Oh,
there
you are so cute. So what kind of dog is Bella?
Bella is a red American Golden Retriever.
Oh, that's why you're so beautiful, because you're a Golden Retriever. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you spotted it, so I'll just give you all the treats right now. I tried to have a little stash. Here we go. Okay, so I am so curious. Because I have a million questions, as do a lot of people in our community. Tell us the story of Bella.
Oh man. Well, I was working at a startup and was friends with these two girls at the company, and they're like, "Oh my God, you should get a dog." I'm like, "Well, I've been kind of thinking about it. I grew up with a red Golden Retriever. Finally had just started a new job, had my own apartment, and I just kind of decided to pull the trigger and got really, really incredibly lucky with her. I was on Craigslist and saw an ad, and I was convinced that it was a scam. The person was texting me broken English, and they said to meet here. And for a $500 purebred Golden Retriever puppy, I showed up just out of spite, just to see what would happen. And there Bella was, all 12 weeks of her. She was already 30 pounds and an absolute adorable puppy.
This beautiful dog came from Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Wow, honey.
She got her first
amazing.
round of shots in Mexico. I'm in San Diego, so it's a 25-minute drive down to the border. And I actually, the night I grabbed her sister got adopted, and I still keep in touch with her sister's mom. So she gets to see her biological sister every so often. Oh my God. Which is fun. And they're twins.
You are such a good dad dog. That's amazing. Okay, so when did you decide that Bella had the potential to be a service dog? And also you trained Bella yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And I feel like that's something I get asked about all the time. People in the epilepsy community, like, I didn't know until a few years ago that was even possible. Yeah. I didn't know it was legal. So like, I just want to hear everything.
Yeah. I think early on, I noticed she was extremely bright, almost to a fault. She is too smart for her own good sometimes, and also a little stubborn. We'll kind of dive into what it took to train her.
Yeah.
But just did some searching online and found a really good dog trainer. She didn't specialize in service dog training, but she came to my house for 20 sessions, and we slowly built her up to not only be focused on me when she's working, but be able to identify best on is work, best off I'm a dog. So she was very motivated. It was challenging at times because she was food motivated, but then she chose not to be, and I had a squeaky toy and stuff like that. But really, I just wanted her as that safety blanket for me when I'm out and about in public, crossing a crosswalk, and in the event of an episode, she's there to be able to stand by my side, brace in case I fall, and also just kind of be my partner in crime everywhere I go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So I just want to clarify, because really clarify, but highlight that you had a regular dog trainer.
Yep.
And because I think so many times, like I know when my dog, I first saw signs that he could be a service dog, I was looking for service dog training. Couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And if I did, it was like very far and ridiculously expensive.
Yep.
And so I found a really good dog trainer, and I talked to him about it. He's like, oh yeah, we can absolutely do this. And I was like, what? And it's so amazing that like under the American Disabilities Act, that is totally legal.
It is. And we'll kind of dive into it a little bit later. It's a pretty massive gray area, which can cause some friction at certain points. But yeah, regular dog trainer. And we just got her we escalated the training in more public places to get her focused on me. So it started off in Home Depot. Well, the first handful of sessions were at home, just the basics, sit, stay, come, that sort of thing. But when we started to get her ready to go out in public, we started going in like Home Depot, walking around, getting her to recall, weird sounds and whatnot in there to get her to kind of come back to me. From there, we went to Petco.
Oh, wow.
Or PetSmart, where
I mean, I can't even stay focused in PetSmart.
all of the scents and the smells and the toys and the dogs and just everything screams like, don't pay attention to me, don't pay attention to me. And we had a handful of sessions in there, just walking through a treat aisle and getting her to focus and say Bella eyes, and she makes eye contact at me. And keeping her by my side, not kind of drifting astray. Once we felt that we were in a good spot there, we started training on a city bus. So hop on, first stop, get her up, onto the bus, sitting, eyes on me. Once we felt comfortable there, then we went to a train, and then eventually an airplane, into the office, that sort of thing. And now she gets to go everywhere with me, which is pretty awesome.
That is so dope.
Yeah.
It is like the best companion to have. Yeah.
I travel quite a bit for work, so to be able to have, some part of home with me always, when I'm away from my other golden retriever that I have and my wife, it's nice to have a little partner.
Yeah. Well, especially with epilepsy, because traveling
Stressful.
is a little stressful, can trigger a seizure possibly. And then you need that extra, we needed that extra security blanket.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're talking about Home Depot and PetSmart, and I'm like, okay, but then you're talking about buses and trains.
Yeah.
I'm assuming restaurants too.
Yeah. So really, I guess we jumped from train into the office is when I started to bring her, and she got really good at coming in and sitting under my desk, and I was very, very strict at the time where vest on, she was working and no one got to interact, don't make eye contact, don't pet her, don't do anything, she's working, which really drove home the point that vest on is work, vest off is I get to be a dog. So at lunch, I would take the vest off and she would give all the hugs to everybody and get all the pets and the belly scratches and the attention. And then like us, when we go back to work, she goes back to work.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so but when you're doing this, even the training or even after the training, because I know my biggest fear about taking George, my dog, places, even though he knows what to do when I have a seizure, is the shit I get from other people in public places, whether it's an airline or whether it's a restaurant or whether it's just even walking in the park, people will be like, that's not a service dog. And I'm like, okay, and sometimes the fight just is exhausting.
For sure.
Do you have any stories like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's as if seizures weren't anxious enough. It's an added anxiety, which it's the complete opposite effect of what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be your safety blanket. Just the other day, I was boarding a flight or checking in at the desk, trying to go through security in Boston Logan Airport through JetBlue, and the TSA person stopped me and said, we need this designation on your ticket. Well, through a handful of airlines, you can submit the Department of Transportation form and do it ahead of time, which I had done, but it wasn't on my ticket. And crazy thing enough is when I flew from San Diego to Boston, I had no issues, but same reservation. I had to kind of pull out the form again. I was super flustered, late for my flight, and needed to kind of get everything edited and moved on to kind of run through. But it's even as easy as just, calling an Uber, waiting. And I'm expecting the friction from the actual driver, because I know it's going to be an issue, even though she's extremely well behaved. She's calm, she's collected, and she's a really, really good girl.
How do we advocate? How do we educate? How do we get this out there? Because when I first learned about the requirements for a service animal, I almost didn't believe them myself. I was literally on ada.gov, which, by the way, if you're listening, go check it out.
Yeah.
And just Google ada.gov service animal. You'll find it.
And it's very plain text.
Yes. Right.
It is very, very easy for a fourth grader to understand what it says.
Totally. Yeah. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how is this not out there in the world? But so like, and then once I learned the 2 questions that anyone can ask, which I'm sure you know them as well.
Exactly.
Which, do you want to give them, or I can do it too?
Go ahead.
Okay. So number 1, the first one is this a service animal? And then number 2 is, what task are they trained to do? And that is it.
That's it.
There's no paperwork.
No certification.
No.
Like service dogs aren't even required in the United States to wear a vest. The vest is just for perception for other people.
Yep.
To understand that she's working.
Totally. Yeah. I do the same thing.
I had an issue with a company recently, and it was a really good education process for them.
You are being so kind right now. Like, I had an issue. It was an education process. So, because I just want to shit talk them right now. So,
but it was, someone was new and they Googled what they need for a service dog. And if you Google service dog, you're going to find a bunch of these sites where you need to pay for a certification. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's fake. And it's the whole ESA, emotional support stuff that really kind of paved the way for all this friction, really. And it was a back and forth. We needed to fill out paperwork for my doctor that needed for special accommodation. And then they asked for a certification. And then here I am thinking, maybe I missed something. And I was viciously Googling, but no, it's the 2 questions.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep. I've done that so many times where I question myself,
Right.
even though my neurologist was the one who confirmed it. She was like, it's 2 questions.
Yeah.
Trust me. There's no certification. I was like, okay. And I think it was once I heard it from her, I actually believed it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because
before I was like, my Google searches cannot be correct. Like, the
I'm
ada.gov is wrong.
I'm sure if you ask people with ada.gov, they probably don't necessarily know the answer. It's a gray area, and it's a point to where I think we have to keep beating the drum and making it more of a norm.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that you are with Bella because, hi, sweetheart. I know we can't see you on camera, but you're looking at me so sweet right now. Yes. So, like, I don't know. As far as, so should we all just go get service dogs? Like, what do we do?
No, I think it takes some advocates like us that have them in place to be able to tell that story. And obviously, you're going to get to know your dog very quickly before you start training them to become a service dog. That you'll have an idea of whether or not it's at their capacity. Like,
totally.
She's like, if my wife's not pregnant, but I can't wait because I know she's going to cue in so much. We were visiting Florida like a month ago, and my sister-in-law is about to pop, and there's pictures of her on the belly. Like it's going there, and she is very in tune to how we feel and can get a sense when I'm anxious, and she'll nuzzle up and pet me, Dad, I'm right here.
Oh, you are the best.
Just a good girl.
Yeah. So, and you said like advocates like us got to do things like that. And right now, I mean, you are a very active epilepsy awareness advocate, but for a while, I think you told me that you hid it for a long time.
Yeah.
So tell me first about like, hiding it, and then what made you be like, not anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to, essentially like start talking about it.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 5, and I got put on medication and didn't have a seizure until I was 20. So I was 15 and a half, I got my learner's permit. I was 16, I got my driver's license. I was driving, and then one day after 18 units in school finals plus working 30 hours a week, I had a breakthrough seizure and I crashed my car. I felt an aura come in, and God. I pulled into a parking lot and thought I hit the brake, and I hit the gas and crashed it. Luckily, no one was harmed.
Including you?
Including me.
Okay.
It was fine. but didn't have another seizure for like 7 months. And at that point I had moved to San Diego to go finish my degree at San Diego State. I was living on my own for the first time. And then these seizures started to come back. And I'm like, I don't want to change my life.
Yeah.
I'm in a new place. I'm living on my own. I'm exploring my freedom. I'm 21, going out on the town. And now I got to go like have these very inconvenient seizures.
They are inconvenient.
Very inconvenient. And, you know, at first I would run into a bathroom and have it in the bathroom so no one saw.
Wow.
To where my roommate didn't even know I was having seizures. And it was probably happening for like 3 or 4 months. I went home for a buddy's engagement party and had one in front of my parents, and they knew. Because deep down, I knew I shouldn't be driving, so I started taking the train and stuff like that. And so the seizures started to come back, and we went through the onslaught of tests at UCLA and kind of went down that path. So once I had the initial seizure in front of my parents, I went back to San Diego. They grabbed my car, and I sat down with each and one of my friends and kind of explained everything. And it wasn't a big deal.
Wow.
Didn't change anything, but you know,
that's so brave though. Yeah. Like, I just want to pause and talk about that. Like, you sat down with each of your friends and explained what was going on. Also, like, exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's like an exhausting process to explain it over and over and over again. And props to you.
And my big thing was like, don't call 911. Like that's, and we can go down that path in a little bit, but that's part of the speech. But yeah, just getting them familiar. And look, at the end of the day, 1 in 26 people are epileptic. It's that common. And we can go into a crowd and multiple people would know somebody with epilepsy.
Yes.
Yet it's just not talked about. And whatever's seen on TV and the movies is dramatized, and it's such a small sector or small fragment of the type of seizures there are. Yet that's the only thing people think about, and the photosensitivity triggers and stuff like that when it's only such a small portion of seizures.
Yep.
So I think once I started to get more comfortable with it, it just became part of the elevator pitch when I was meeting somebody, and just started.
I love that. Sorry, the elevator pitch. It's so good. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
And just started bringing it up and becoming more comfortable. And we had some events that happened where I wasn't treated fairly.
What do you mean?
Yeah, one New Year's I was out with friends, and we were drinking and whatever, but everyone was good. We went back to our hotel and having a nightcap at the bar, and I fell and had a seizure. And there was 8 of us, and they kicked us all out thinking we were just really, really drunk. And we were trying to explain what happened, and took to social media the next day and actually got in touch with the hospitality manager for that group of hotels and got them in contact with the Epilepsy Foundation in Denver. And then COVID hit, and they laid off 80% of their staff. But I think after that, I wanted to be I didn't want to be the punching bag, but I was okay being the punching bag for the next person. Because I didn't want that next person who we were just talking about that's scared to leave the house to begin with. They don't want to have a seizure. They're running into bathrooms or running away. If they were to get kicked out of a restaurant, are they going to ever go anywhere?
Right. And it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And I just made a stand that, I'm comfortable with it. And there's a stigma about people with epilepsy, and I want to help tell stories and make the normal people out there with epilepsy feel completely comfortable to talk about it.
Which is awesome. Yeah. So, okay, when you said, and I'm going to go back to that elevator pitch and ask you about, because you're married now, but was the elevator pitch, were you guys together yet? Did you date, and try and date with epilepsy, and what was that like?
Yeah, so I had been having seizures again before I met my wife, but I was in college dating somebody, and everyone knew I was very transparent when I would be on the apps or talking to people in person. It's a significant part of my life. at the moment, not going to be going away. So if you're not on board, then like,
adios.
So be it.
Yeah.
Right. So when I met my wife, it was one of the first things I told her. She would say otherwise, because when we first met in person, 6 months later, I had a seizure and she kind of freaked out.
No way.
But
okay. Sorry. We'll roll back up, man.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So first, you met 6 months later. First, let's explain that.
Yeah. So my wife was in San Diego on a bachelorette party, and I saw her on Bumble. And that's the one where you need to connect and the girl goes first. I decided to be proactive and I DM'd her on Instagram.
Oh, damn.
And she didn't respond for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And I came to find out that she lived in Denver and she was just visiting. Well, she responded and we ended up talking back and forth, text, FaceTime, that sort of thing for 6 months. And
Aww.
I was like, finally, I'm going to come visit. And I flew out to Denver and the rest is history. Yeah. So before I asked my wife to marry me, we sat down, and I mean, I'm a pretty like calm or like playful partner, but I sat her down and had like a heart to heart. I'm like, this is a part of me. Like in the foreseeable future, I probably won't be able to drive, and like, I'm going to continue to have seizures. And I basically asked her, is this something you want for the rest of your life? And she didn't even let me finish. And that's the moment I knew I wanted to marry her.
Oh my God. Yeah. Tearing up here. That's really beautiful. Yeah. I had a similar conversation with my now husband, but like when we were, in the initial stages of dating, because we were older too. And we've only been married a few months. So
congrats.
It's kind of, thank you. It's kind of like one of those things where you got to figure it out really quickly.
Yeah.
And I kept bringing it up to the point where he was like, truly, this is not an issue.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. And I was like, okay, so I need to stop. He's like, yeah, like, we're good.
Yeah.
So, but that's really cool and really sweet.
Yeah. Well,
What's her name?
Sarah.
Shout out to Sarah.
Yeah. She's the nicest person I know.
Oh my
Almost
God.
to a fault, but she's the nicest person I know.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. And so but the first time you met her, you had a seizure.
First time I met her, I had just been coming off of a trade show in Vegas and working grueling hours. It wasn't that first night, but the next night she decided to take me to Aspen. And it was like the gorgeous drive there was all the yellow trees. And then we woke up to snow. But that night we were at a little French restaurant in the downtown of Aspen, and I had a seizure. And it just so happened the woman next to us who was having dinner was a nurse, and talked to my wife through it. So for the next time, I need to talk about it a little bit more on the first aid side. But this is just a general thing that 1 in 26 people will have epilepsy. Like CPR training, epilepsy training should be a mainstay. It should be something that's required.
Absolutely. It's not something that we should be fighting for to get in schools.
Right.
Yeah,
it's so common that people generally need to know. And I have a pretty mild type of epilepsy where it's about 30-40 seconds. Mm-hmm. I lose motor function, but I'm fully conscious. I can hear you, I can see you. I just can't say like, stop, I'm okay, I'll be back here in a second.
Yeah.
But so that happened, and the first time she freaked out, but was very, very good with it. We dated 2.5 years long distance, where I was in San Diego, she was in Denver. And I'd go visit her every 3 weeks because I was traveling quite a bit for work, and would just tack on Denver as opposed to San Diego and pay my way home.
Awesome.
And then COVID hit.
Sweet. Yeah.
And I flew to Denver thinking it was just going to be for a weekend. And I ended up staying for 3 months. And I had Bella, of course.
Oh, that's so cute.
And my wife had a golden retriever too. So it was just a match made in heaven.
Aww.
And we did the whole quarantine thing together. We were living at her brother's house with his fiance at the time. And
how was that?
It was a crazy time.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time. She worked in the service industry at the time.
Oh, wow.
So she was still working. Luckily, I was working remote. My company went remote, so I was just working from the house. And it was just a wild time. And then her family is in Indiana, so her brother decided to go visit some family in Indiana and decided to do a kitchen remodel. at the house that we were staying at.
Oh.
So on top of a global pandemic and figuring out living together for the first time, we dealt with a kitchen remodel where we were doing dishes either outside or in the bathroom.
Oh, fun.
But it really just solidified the relationship, and just really, if we can make it through all of that and like a half cross country move, we figured it out. And we got married last March, and it's been amazing.
Congratulations. Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah. That's awesome. And you guys are now in San Diego.
I've been in San Diego for, let's see, 11 years now. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy. And I've slowly recruited family members down. So I got my parents down to San Diego. I got my sister who followed in my path and went to San Diego State and got a marketing degree. So she's there. Got my wife out there.
Well, you are a marketer, right?
I am a marketer at heart.
You can tell.
And then we even got my little nephew and sister-in-law out there too.
Oh,
so
nice.
She's got her close family there as well. And, we're both family-oriented people. So having people close is great. And it's home. We're in San Diego.
Oh,
yeah.
God. It's still a place I have yet to go to. So I did notice, now you mentioned your seizures, and I'm never going to get the name of this right. I think that's called partial complex, but I'm not going to diagnose you. I don't know. There's so many names of seizures.
Yeah.
Like people with epilepsy can't remember that shit.
Right.
But I have noticed on your Instagram, though, you've posted some pictures of like black eyes and like bruises and stuff. And those were from seizures, though, too, right?
Yeah. So with my type of seizure, I'll lose. And part of the reason why I kind of go with Bella most of the time now is I'll fall. If I'm standing, I'll fall. And they're like, knock on wood, there has only, like, it's been relatively minor, but I have, gotten black eyes, cuts, and like near misses. I remember one in particular, it was like my sister's wedding weekend, and their driveway probably was like a 45-degree angle, and I fell back. And like, thank goodness nothing serious happened. And I'm also the person I am. Once I have a seizure, once I'm done, I try and like get going and just move past it. Just so people start to become comfortable with it after the fact. And sometimes it's a little too quick.
Yeah.
So
I believe that's called denial.
It's called denial.
Yeah. I'm only, because I relate so hard.
Yeah.
Like the seizure will end up like, that wasn't a seizure.
Yep.
And my husband's like, it was. And I'm like, nope.
Or you're still having a seizure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened too.
Right? Where I'm, and my support system's very good at being like, take a second. It's okay. Take a minute.
Yeah.
It's fine. And slowly I've been trying to get better, and it's a constant work in progress. It's never going to be easy.
I feel you.
But I feel like I've made leaps and bounds from that person that, there it is.
Hi.
Leaps and bounds from that person who used to run into bathrooms that have seizures to being able to talk about it.
Yeah. Leaps and bounds doesn't even cover it. Like that's so, hi. Like just the growth in that. But like, I understand, especially at that age, hiding it. Like I hear that a lot from, and I didn't have epilepsy when I was in my 20s. I was diagnosed at 32. Okay. So like, but I hear that story a lot of like, sometimes it's reckless behavior. Sometimes it's hiding it. Sometimes, because, and it makes sense when you think about how vulnerable and like, you're just figuring, I mean, we're always figuring shit out, but you're really figuring it out at that age.
Who you are as a person.
Yes.
Like prior to moving to San Diego, I was at junior college, and it was kind of an extension of high school where I was working my job and like going to junior college class. San Diego, I got to reinvent myself. And then my brain had other plans.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah. I mean, it's not, but it is.
But it is. Like now we can laugh about it.
Yeah.
And it's a part of me now. And I really turned a corner in November of 21 to where I was having, at its worst, probably 20, 25 seizures a month.
Oh, yeah. Still
pretty minor, but...
No, like, that's not minor.
Minor in the sense of like how they are, but minor in the volume of them.
Yeah.
And I had gotten into a nice, comfortable holding pattern with my epileptologist in San Diego, and he finally said to me, like, I've kind of done what I can do for you. And in a certain sense, it was a little relieving, like in the sense that like like let's just manage this now. Let's figure this out. And thank goodness I didn't just fall complacent, and thank goodness for my support system, because my parents, my wife were like, no, we can do better.
I love that. Sometimes you just need someone else to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. And we decided to go to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona. Saw Dr. Noe, and she introduced me to a new drug that cut my seizures down. I'm having, two a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So significantly decreased.
From 20 a day?
From 20 a month.
A month. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I can't remember numbers.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I wish it was zero, but
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And going through all of the different testing, like each epileptologist I've had, and I went to UCLA, I was at UC Irvine, UC San Diego, and now Mayo Clinic, they haven't been able to figure out where the seizures are coming from. They're actually pretty sure they're coming from both sides of the brain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they don't know.
Yeah.
And we've done extensive spec tests and just haven't been able to figure out where it's coming from, which has really ruled out some significant potential cures like surgery or the RNS or the VNS. And so it's really just been medication management, and how do we craft this medication cocktail that can help normalize things a bit. And, still having some seizures. They're not happening, I say average, like 2 a month, but like I'll go a month and a half, then I'll cluster for 6.
Oh, God.
In the span of 12 hours.
Yeah.
But I know, at least now, the normal is like I'm going to have quite a bit of seizures in this 12 to 18 hour window, and then it'll be okay.
Okay.
So in a
like
sense,
having a pattern is good, even though the pattern sucks.
right.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
For someone that's a planner, like being able
Aren't we all?
to
I feel
be
like
able to
you
kind
have
of,
to be if you have
but
epilepsy.
it's also one of those things where when I was having quite a bit of seizures back in 2018, I was the best man at my brother's wedding in Paris.
Wow. Oh, wow.
At the top of a staircase. And like the bridal party, they were at one level, and then the bridal party went on both sides. And here I am, like, it's gonna happen. Like, I don't feel it right now, but I just have a sense I'm gonna have a seizure.
Yep.
They're about to say I do, and I had it before the ceremony started, so we got it out of my system.
Oh, well, that was thoughtful of you.
Very
Yeah.
thoughtful. But yes, it was. If anyone is around my aura, for lack of better words, my circle now,
Sure.
they know that it's gonna happen and it's gonna be okay. And it shouldn't be this massive thing.
Yeah. So how long? So I have a question. When you have those clusters, and you kind of are like, okay, it's gonna happen. What do you do for like work and stuff? Like, are you able to work at all, or is it just like I'm out?
No, I for my type of seizures, luckily after an episode, I'm back. I don't have any brain fog. I don't have any slowness. So it really doesn't change. I'll cluster and like I'll be on a Zoom call and fall or something, and I'll be back there in a sec. But with stuff like that,
I'll be back there in a sec.
Be back in a sec. If you're not getting a theme already, then.
Yeah.
But thank goodness for my work. Just being very thoughtful, and my boss is phenomenal. And when we were having this minor HR issue, she like took it up all the way to the food chain to find the right person to make sure this got alleviated. But has been a constant champion in my corner for anything that I need, whether it's a wellness day just to rest.
That's so huge.
Huge.
Getting a boss that not only understands but will advocate for you.
Yeah, I think it's more so the latter, right? They can support you, but if they're advocating for you, it makes life so much easier.
Absolutely. So, okay, now I messed up in the very beginning trying to explain what you do. What is it that you do?
Oh, I am a marketer. I've worked in tech my entire career, tech startups. I love organized chaos, which startups are. So the first job out of college was with a company called House Call Pro, and I was employee 45. By the time I left, I think we were at like 400 employees.
Wow.
So I saw considerable growth there, and it was great. Bella was the mascot of the company. She went everywhere. But I've been in tech, and in particular, I do partner marketing. So I work with our partners on different co-marketing initiatives to adopt our software, whatever that may be. In its current standpoint, I'm at EasyCater, where we have a marketplace for restaurants to offer catering options to consumers. If you need to bring in food for a party, or you need to bring in food for the board meeting, they could use our platform and get the restaurant. So
I would just like to point out this is not sponsored content.
It's not I know. I'm going to be wearing the hat and everything. They're going to love this.
Absolutely. We got free advertising.
Yeah. So yeah, I work from home, luckily. So I get to kind of work from wherever. People in my company know I typically wear hats 4 out of the 5 days a week. And yeah, just love to kind of do my part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just, speaking from my experience, working from home makes all the difference in the world. I had no idea how stressful a commute was until it was gone.
For sure. And like not even driving, I was Ubering to and from work 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And early on when the seizures were back, I didn't want to ask anybody for anything. So I didn't want to take the ride that they were offering. I just felt like a burden. Yeah. So out of ignorance, I would just take Ubers and rack up. And my thought process was, oh, this is like gas, insurance, and a car payment. So I could just rationalize. But slowly I became accepting of rides and would carpool, and no one really has an issue. They want to help.
Yeah.
And you just need to be okay with letting them help.
Yep. I think you hit on so many things there. One, a lot of us feel like a burden.
Yep.
And 2, people want to help.
Lean into your support system.
Totally.
Lean in.
100%.
Like if I'm going to give anyone any advice, it's to lean in, because they're your support system for a reason. And they care about you, and they will run through a wall for you.
Oh, I love that. What advice would you give for anyone who wants to get a service dog?
I think do your research on the different types of breeds that you think would be good, that are smart. You want to find a dog with a tempered personality, in the sense that they are obviously obedient but calm. But really, the proof is in the pudding. It's what you put into it, right? Your dog's going to be as trained as you can make them trained, right? And when I hired a trainer, it wasn't her just training Bella. She was training me to train Bella.
That's what I always said too. I'm like, I am the human being trained how to train the dog.
And you're the enforcer. Like, you're the alpha. And you know, just kind of bringing that presence. I think, back to your question, really just understanding what the dog is capable of, and then just leaning into the training behind it.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice.
And like just the fact that dogs can, like, you give off a scent when you have a seizure, and use that shirt when it happens with positive affirmation to the dog, getting them in that to, when they smell that, something's going on and they need to do something.
Wow, I didn't know that. I'm going to start doing that too.
It's wild.
Because you have to, I don't know about you, but I have to emphasize, or not retrain, but continue the training with my dog anyway. But like just the other day, or like a week ago, I had a seizure in one room, and mine are quiet as well. And he came running. Yeah. And I didn't know that, but because I wasn't really coherent until like I, came to. But oh, thanks. But yeah, it was just like, okay, so sometimes I have to just be like, so this is real, because I think the haters sometimes get in my head,
No, for sure. And I think also something that I did that I think everybody should do is really use the vest as that on-off switch. the end of the day, they're a dog. Like, they want to have fun. They want to do zoomies. They want to jump up on the table and grab the brownies, or right? They're a dog, and they want to go drink during a podcast. But just emphasizing, when vest is on, that's the light switch. They're working, and make sure you're enforcing that, and especially with the surroundings, so they don't get excited, they don't get distracted, and really having that as, for lack of better words, the safety blanket.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Before we close out, I'm going to ask you 4 questions that are unrelated to what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Start with an easy one.
Yeah.
Number 1, what's your favorite color?
Ooh, blue.
Okay. What shade?
Dodger blue. I'm a big Dodgers fan.
I'll have to look that up later because I don't know sports. So.
Really any shade. I typically wear black though, so there's that.
Yeah.
But blue.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. Number 2, what's your favorite movie or TV show?
It's so funny that you said that, because I just started a new company, and they did like your favorite movie and then your favorite bad movie.
Oh,
which is so good.
Yep.
And for my favorite movie, I picked Interstellar, because I love what Christopher Nolan does, and just like there's so much more to the movie than the actual movie, right? My favorite bad movie, I said Talladega Nights.
Nice.
Just because it's so quotable,
so good,
so funny, and so bad but so good.
Yes, 100%.
But for anybody that knows me, I'm an Office fanatic.
Okay.
So like I've seen the show probably 30, 40 times through.
Is it like where you just know
it's
the lines?
My wife's like, how do you know this? And I have those handful of shows that are like my comfort.
Yep.
Just throw on in the background so I could scroll on my phone or whatever.
Yep.
The Office probably is my favorite.
100%. It's so good.
It's so funny.
Number 3, what is like a self-care thing that you do that like you love or wish you did more or do consistently and are happy with it?
Yeah, a couple things. I think when we can go watch the sunset with my wife, I think is
that's so
phenomenal.
Sweet.
And like, not biased, but San Diego has the best sunsets.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it.
So we try and do that. We don't do it as frequently as we should. I'm also an avid golfer. I try and golf a couple times a week.
Nice.
So, starting a new job, trying to feel that out. Luckily, they're East Coast based, so it tapers off in the afternoons, and now it's summer.
Nice.
And also, I love to walk Bella in the morning. Like we're walking to exercise, so like I go pretty quick, but it's just a nice morning routine ritual that we do. We wake up, I feed the dogs, and I go take her on a couple mile walk, and it's just our time to hang out.
That's so sweet. Yeah. There is something about getting out in the morning that just changes your whole day. I'm very much an early riser, so I'm up without an alarm. Now, working for an East Coast company, maybe a little too early for some of the time. Like 6:30 calls are pushing. Yeah, that's brutal.
But yeah, I have my routine. I get up, feed the dogs. If I'm not walking Bella, I'll take them both out. I'll have my coffee on the couch. I'll do Wordle and do the little brain games to get me going, and then I'll get into the day. Nice. I hear that from so many people about the brain games too. I do that. I do Sudoku in the morning. It's great. But just for that same reason, like just to kind of wake up my brain. Yeah, and I'm most productive in the morning window. Like any time from like 1 p.m. on, it's just don't book a meeting or anything. I just need to ease into the afternoon. That's smart. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And then number 4, what does it mean to you to be a friend? Loyalty. That's something that for my people around me, like they've stuck around for a reason, and they've seen it all. And I think that's one thing. If you want to be a good friend, just be loyal. Yeah. And just be in their corner no matter what. Totally. Especially when they don't want you there, like be there. Because deep down they know they need you there. Oh yeah, you hit something good there. That's really good. Yeah. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show. Before we go though, we need to get one more shot of Bella. Come on, honey. I wonder if we can get the hug. Oh, we need a hug. Oh.
Oh, you are the cutest. Definitely the cutest guest I've ever had. Oh. Yeah. Well, thank you both for being on the show.
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is awesome.